Welcome to TechFile. We cover the biggest technology trends impacting our lives. My name is Kelley Boss. Coming up, a conversation with Snehar Shah, the CEO of Moringa School, from building tech talents to the correlation between studying specific courses and employment in the tech space. We'll discuss it all, but first, before we dive into that, I want to bring in Agela Mbithe, a software developer from Damu Sasa. Angela, becoming a software developer, where did you start?
So before I became a software developer, I had completed my degree in around 2017. Then immediately I joined Daystar University as a support engineer. So there I was doing basically the basic support work, networking, but I wasn't very satisfied with my job. And then after around 2 years of working in Daystar, I decided to move on with my career. So by the time I was leaving Daystar, it was around COVID period. So I had that middle point of not knowing what to do with my life. Yeah, I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing before. So as I was doing my research, I was very interested in software development, even when I was in university. So I did my research on how I could further that part of my career even more. And as I was doing my research, I came across Moringa, which was, as I was Googling, Moringa was it was coming up a lot of times. So I decided to explore that option. I researched about it. I saw that they were offering some courses that would elevate me in my career. So I went through that path. I joined Moringa at around March of 2021. So during that time, there was still the issue of COVID, and I was doing my classes from home. So, but the experience I had at Moringa was very good. It was a very involving process. I could say the 6 months that I spent in Moringa gave me way more than the 4 years I spent in university.
And what exactly are you developing at Damu Sasa?
For Damu Sasa, I am designing the front end. We are doing this project whereby, before they were offering blood services management system, but we want to expand that in order to offer hospitals an all-in-one system where they can have a hospital management system, lab management, equipment management, and quality management system, all-in-one system. So currently I'm working on the front end of that system, and I'm working with other back-end developers.
Angela, let me pick your mind as a person with experience in this space, because tech changes every day and self-learning is key. So perhaps that's apart from also going to school. Self-learning is very key because of the advancements in tech. So what can you tell a person coming up in this space?
Okay, as you've said, I can tell this person to keep improving their skills. In the tech space, things evolve every day, and you can't just, the knowledge that you had last year, it might not be applicable this year. So you have to keep, if it's a certain language, let's say Python, you have to keep looking at the new trends, updating yourself. And also you can't also stick with one language when it comes to development. You have to open yourself up to learning basically almost all the languages. But once you learn one language, it's easier to learn any other language.
And my thoughts about a developer is you can be anything, see a problem, create a solution, don't you think?
Yes, I think so too. In developer, it requires a lot of creativity. Especially with coming up with solutions. There's a lot of, you need to be able to be solution-oriented in a way that if someone tells you this is the problem that I want to solve, you're able to come up with a way in which you can solve that problem in the easiest way possible.
Like we've mentioned, opportunities are unlimited. We're in the Silicon Savannah. You see yourself in the Silicon Valley taking opportunities in the big companies there?
I do. I see myself going very far. I feel like this is just the beginning. I have a very big dream dream coming up. I have a lot to achieve in the tech space, and I cannot wait to work with even the biggest companies. Yeah.
Agela Mbithe, the software developer at Damu Sasa, speaking to us about her experience from school to now ready to take on the biggest tech opportunities in Kenya. We'll get to hear more about taking on tech or building tech talents in Kenya from the Moringa CEO in a moment. This is Tech File.
Moringa School is a TVET, so we provide vocational training in tech, so to develop tech talent. So we run intense 5-month boot camps in courses such as software engineering, in data science, and now we're diversifying into other tech-based courses like in cybersecurity, in product design, cloud computing, etc.
So you're building innovators. Talk to us about how unlimited innovators can be if empowered in such spaces.
Yeah, so we are living in a decade where everybody is talking about digital skills, and especially after COVID, where remote working has become a reality. There are other trends as well. To be successful in a tech career, you don't necessarily need to have a university degree or a diploma. There are big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, and the likes who are now employing tech talent without those kind of qualifications. So it's actually a very exciting time because with the advent of connectivity, with the advent of tools such as Zoom, etc., we can produce innovators right here in Kenya, in Africa, regardless of where you are in the country. But one can have an equal opportunity to contribute to the development of global trends in innovation. So I think I'm very excited, and I think us as Kenya are extremely well positioned to participate in that what is called the fourth industrial revolution.
So you've mentioned the impact of COVID-19. Talk to us, and part of it was digitization. Talk to us about how important is it for young guys coming up thinking about building solutions in areas where maybe particularly before there were no tech solutions, and then perhaps link that with what Moringa does to creators to make them more creative and maybe solution seekers.
Yeah, so first of all, what we call the Gen Z, the youth of today, they are actually quite tech savvy. A lot of them have access to smartphones and laptops and of course through the internet and social media. So they understand the importance of the digital economy, developing applications, etc. And Moringa School has been operating even before COVID. So we've been operating for the last around 7 years. Moringa was set up by a young American lady called Audrey Cheng, who came to this part of the world in 2014 and saw an opportunity and a gap in terms of doing tech training, but using market-aligned skills, which is quite different from what our traditional universities have been providing. It's quite interesting that we've been set up as an alternative for the students going to university, because if you want to pursue a tech career, you don't need to spend 3-4 years in university, get a paper certificate or a diploma, and yet you can't get a job. Whereas for us, in 5 months, we can really fast track to provide the very focused market-aligned training to expose them to innovation, to expose them to the foundations of how to become, say, a app developer or a software engineer. But what's ironic is that as many as half of our intake, our students, are actually university graduates, many with degrees in computer science. Unfortunately, they can't get jobs, so they come to Moringa to get their skills polished. When we talk about skills, we really teach them, of course, the basic languages, like whether it's in front-end development like Python, React, or on the back end, languages like Ruby on Rails, Angular, etc. But we also give them training in soft skills, which is quite important, in the workplace. And we teach them, basic skills right from CV writing to interviewing to communication, leadership, entrepreneurship, which is also, very important. And the talent that we produce, not everybody wants to pursue a career in employment. Kenyans are quite entrepreneurial, very smart. So many of them actually start their own startups where they are actually creating more employment. So we are a very sort of results-driven or outcomes-driven organization. So today, for example, we have a 70% plus job placement rate for our graduates. And our graduates get into all sorts of careers. Many of course work for the big techs, the banks. The startup ecosystem is quite thriving in Kenya, with a lot of funding having been attracted over the last 5+ years. And we are also seeing a growing trend, especially post-COVID, of remote working. So we did a survey last year of about 1,000 of our alumni, and we found that 18% of our graduates are actually doing freelance work for global companies.
And so what is it about Moringa School that gives them the edge over these other maybe graduates from universities and other institutions? Because you've mentioned, apart from what you've mentioned, something about soft skills. And what's the difference with Moringa School students?
Yeah, so what I would say to that is, in one word, what Moringa stands for is quality. Okay, there's a lot of hype, in digital skills. Everybody is talking about the future being, to work in digital, and there are many people, involved in that space. Unfortunately, including some of the donors, maybe government, really going for big numbers in terms of volume. Whereas Moringa, since we started, we've trained about 7,000 students, and we've got the employment or job placement rates, like I mentioned, 70% plus. So employers know the quality they will get if they hire a graduate from Moringa School. And there are many courses given which are like self-paced, free courses. I'm a personally believer that there's nothing such as a free lunch, right? We obviously charge fees for our 5-month courses, but that is a good value proposition, because that spend is not a cost, but more parents and students should see that as an investment, because that investment will enable our graduates to quickly earn and grow their salaries, which are well above the average rates in the country. Now, the way we provide that quality is, of course, I mentioned our focus on soft skills, but our curriculum itself. So about 15 months ago, we transitioned to partnering with one of the leading boot camps, actually the leading boot camp in the US, which is called Flatiron School. Now, if a student were to do a course with Flatiron School in the US, that 5-month course would cost as much as 2 million shillings. Whereas we have a price point here in Kenya where that exact same course delivered by our trained Kenyan tutors is costing as little as 174,000 shillings for a 5-month course. Now, when you look at the return on investment of those fees, on on average, when our students graduate, they are earning starting salaries of around 38,000 shillings per month. And with every year of experience that our graduates get, the salary almost doubles. So if you take a student or a graduate with 3 years of experience, they are earning on average salaries of around 120,000 shillings per month, and we have many candidates who are earning as much as $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So basically our results speak for what we deliver.
And the sky is the limit for them, because the better you get at it, the more you get.
Yeah, and I think we are at a inflection point where we are, as Kenya and as Africa, we're really well positioned to play a part in the global marketplace. So globally there's a shortage of tech talent, and as everything goes digital, everybody's talking about AI. The importance of software developers, data scientists, etc. Will really grow. So previously all these Western companies were going to places like Eastern Europe to recruit talent. That has become quite saturated. Obviously the war in Ukraine is not helping. Then they used to look at Southeast Asia or countries like India, but there is very high salary inflation. The employee churn is very high. So now more and more global companies are looking at Kenya as sort of the next frontier. And to that extent, we must be aware that our new US ambassador is a lady called Meg Whitman, who is a veteran. She used to be the founder of eBay. She was the CEO for many years for HP, the market leaders in producing the tech devices. And now she has been placed in Kenya to really help drive our presence in that global digital economy. The government is also very keen for Kenya to play a part here. So the last couple of days I was in Diani at the Connected Summit with the CS and PS of ICT, and yesterday we actually signed an agreement with the Ministry of ICT and Konza for Moringa to be a thought leader and a partner to look at the global marketplace, to look at where there's as many as 8 million vacancies today for global tech jobs. Now each of that job, there's no reason why a smart Kenyan tech talent cannot be employed in that job. So our task is to really advise the government and the Ministry of ICT in terms of where exactly these jobs are, so that we can really work backwards and curate the right kind of training courses to meet that demand.
A very good posture also that Kenya has. I attended, TechFile attended the Google at 15 event, and the president attended, and the US ambassador Meg attended also. And that's when in her speech I understood that she is not only the US ambassador to Kenya, but she has also heavy experience working in the Silicon Valley in the US. And so a very good, posture Kenya has towards digital advancements, which is good for us. But sir, according to you, where do you see Moringa as we get to the end of this conversation? Where do you see Moringa in maybe 5 years, and marry that with tech employees in Kenya?
Yeah, so Moringa has been operating for the last around 6 years. It's during that time that we've really built our expertise. We are the market leader when it comes to tech training here. We don't only provide the student training, but we have a growing corporate training business. So for example, we run Safaricom's Digital Academy, and on the back of the success of that, we're now also looking at training other organizations for their talent, upskill them for banks and any other industry. And having trained about 7,000 students so far, I think we've cracked the product market fit. We've got the right model. Post-COVID, we really during COVID we invested a lot in tech. So we have a cutting-edge learning management system. So as we speak today, 70% of our students are studying fully remotely. But that's on very structured, live learning, producing very quality outcomes. And with that, one can be a student from anywhere in Kenya, whether they're in Lake Victoria or whether in the coast or northern Kenya, as long as they have access to a laptop and decent internet, which I think we as a country are quite blessed to have, countrywide 4G coverage and soon like 5G coverage. So there are no barriers to entry. And then also we've been working hard on providing equal access to anyone and everyone. We're all very focused on the gender balance. So today we have roughly a third of our students and graduates who are women. We have a clear target to turn that into at least sort of 50% balance in the next couple of years. In terms of economic background or affordability, we have been providing scholarships for the needy students, and also we're innovating a lot in terms of student financing. So last week we signed a partnership with Aspira, who is doing these SOMA loans for students, where the students and the parents can pay for a 5-month course for over something like 12 months at very affordable rates. So with that, and also last year we started expanding into West Africa. We've run some cohorts in Nigeria and Ghana. So we're now all about scaling, but without compromising on our quality and outcome. So in the next 5-10 years, we intend to have trained and created jobs and livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of African talent. I think you've been very, very comprehensive. Also to dispel the myth that some people think that as Moringa we're selling vegetables, but Moringa is actually a superfood. It's actually a root. It's very healthy for you, and what we say is Moringa is here to supercharge the Kenyan and the African youth.
Moringa School CEO Snehar Shah on building tech talents in the Silicon Savannah. What an exciting conversation. We've got more to come. Tune in next Wednesday. This is Tech 5.